I'll go ahead and call to order the April 14th Plan Commission meeting. Can we have a roll call, please?
Darryl McConnell here. Chris Lamb
Here.
Joseph Schultz
Here.
Rich Straw
Here.
Erwich
Here.
Jim Fincham
Here.
Don Good
Here.
Suzanne Davis
Here.
Susan May Devin Bolin
Here.
Tammy Bailey
Here.
Logan Zuber.
I can confirm that we do have a quorum. On to the minutes. You should have all received the March 10th, 2026 minutes. Questions, comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve is distributed.
Second.
Having a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there any need tonight to modify the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to old business, of which we don't have any. On to new business. So we have two items tonight. The first being Bridgewater Section 7 Primary Plat. This is PC Primary Plat 2026-1. I will go ahead and open the public hearing and turn it over to the staff for presentation.
Thank you, sir. Jim Catterett, City Planner for Auburn. So this request for primary plat filed by Walt Fuller, the property owner, requesting the primary plat approval for what would be a 43-lot single-family subdivision to be located the tract of land is south of Morningstar, west of County Road 35. It's highlighted on the aerial there to identify the property location. The primary plat does require a public hearing. It was advertised in the Star on March 24th, and there were 20 adjacent property owners to this parcel that were notified of the public hearing, as well as we placed the public notice signs along Virginia Lane at the what would be the entrance to the subdivision. The primary plat itself is on the screen. Again, it's a single-family subdivision. It's upon property that is zoned R2, 43 lots. Virginia Lane would be the main roadway to connect to the existing Virginia Lane to the south and to the north. And then there are 3 cul-de-sacs coming off the roadway. The R2 zoning is, of course, a single-family district. Lot sizes vary. Looks like the smallest lot of the subdivision is right at 11,400 square feet. So that's above what would be the minimum. The lots go up to as large as 22,000 plus, which is almost a half acre. So there's a good sized lots of this subdivision. I mentioned the property zoned R2. The Bridgewater 5 to the north, the Cove lots, that's actually zoned R1. The Timber Trace property to the south is zoned R2. This property has been designated for future residential development in our 2040 plan. Just a few photographs if you're not familiar with the property. This is actually from the Coves at Bridgewater. The top photo looking south, you see Virginia Lane at this point just dead ends. The county drain is just beyond the end of Virginia Lane. This shows again from the Coves looking along the west edge of the subdivision, which is where the first tee is. And then on the south side from Timber Trace subdivision, again, the roadway dead ends into the property. And this just shows there's an existing tree row for some of the southern property line along the Timber Trace lots. And this photograph actually shows there are some fire hydrants within the field. And there's sanitary sewer identifiers. It's utilities were provided for this lot many years ago, and as part of a proposed extension of the Bridgewater subdivision. The primary plat was routed, went through several reviews. All of the comments from the routing committee have been addressed by the project engineer. So it's recommended for approval, and then the project advisory met to consider this on April 9th. This project has garnered quite a few public comments. I've talked to 6 residents at this point with different just questions about the development. I've sent a few of them the plans and just discussed things like the extension of Virginia Lane, lot sizes, the stormwater runoff from there's an existing pond that I'll talk about. And so just general questions from the public. So the property itself, the Section 7, it's been a planned phase of Bridgewater for a long time. Initially, it was primary platted in 1999. And again, infrastructure was installed, at least water and sewer through the property, along what is, in essence, the proposed route of Virginia Lane through the property. The coves at Bridgewater to the north, and again, Timber Trace to the south, both planned for the extension of Virginia Lane when they were developed. And this primary plat, of course, includes that roadway. Virginia Lane it's a little bit wider right-of-way than our standard. It's a 70-foot wide right-of-way. Standard new roads are typically 60. And then the other roadways, the cul-de-sac, within the subdivision will have the 60-foot right-of-way. Pavement width, Virginia Lane, both to the north and to the south, is 34-foot wide curb to curb. That's a little bit more than what our standard 32-foot is for new roadways. But the developer has agreed to continue the 34-foot width of pavement that is to the south and to the north. So it's consistent. So you don't narrow down going through the subdivision. So they've agreed to do that. The other roadways, the cul-de-sacs, will be at 32-foot pavement, which is standard. With the connection of Virginia Lane, the development does meet our connectivity requirements. That was a point of discussion early on in the planning process for this subdivision, where crossing the county drain is a challenge. It's certainly an expense, but it was a very important connection from the city standpoint. We were pretty adamant that this Virginia Lane needs to be connected, and they have provided that within this proposal. The existing pond to the north, if you can see on the plan itself, to what would be the northeast, it's an existing pond that's actually located on the golf course property. It's not technically as part of this plat. The pond itself is proposed to be slightly increased to the south, so it will be enlarged. I think the primary reason for that would be to gain dirt for the site. They're going to have to do some leveling of the site, of course. The pond it's actually been one of the main topics I've had with the residents, specifically because under an agreement that was with the developer, the overall developer for the subdivision, the pond is used for irrigation for the coves development. That's a maintenance provided development. And so they have a pump and piping to do irrigation from that pond. So it's very important that they continue to be allowed to do that. Again, that pond is not part of this development, but the ownership of the golf course, same ownership as this land itself. They've agreed to continue to allow that. And again, the ponds actually get bigger if they have a little bit more surface water in it. So I think that's a positive thing. Overall, for the development, the stormwater from the new streets, stormwater from some of the households will be directed to a new pond they're going to construct to the west. You see it again on the plat map. That is a new pond. It would actually be along the west property line on the golf course property. And it would affect a little bit of realignment for the first hole. The T station, I believe, has to get relocated or at least slightly moved to allow for this pond. This pond would be a wet pond. And again, the stormwater from the roadways and everything would be directed to that pond, not to the other existing pond. This pond would then outlet to the county drain to the north. Portions of the property itself, you can see on this picture here, this drawing, there is some floodplain that extends into this field along the south side of the county drain. So it's actually highlighted and visible in red on this drawing. So it will require a floodplain development permit from the city. It's flood fringe. So it's controlled by the city, regulated by the city. We do allow fill to occur. There does has to be a permit and a specific plan, basically to come up with the compensation area. If they're filling in one location, they need to remove soil in another location within the general floodplain area. And so that's part of what they're doing with the pond expansion. And so they will, before they can actually do anything with those lots, they'll have to go through the process to get the permit and show that those lots are elevated out of the floodplain. That is part of the process, again, as we get into what would be the next step if the primary plat's approved. There will be sidewalks through the development, 5 foot wide, and the sidewalks will connect the existing sidewalks on Virginia Lane to the north and to the south. And so that would be, there'd be required to be over the crossing of the stream, which is still being determined what type of crossing, whether it's a box culvert or just a pipe or what I don't want to say a bridge per se, but the crossing, the type of crossing hasn't been determined yet. It's still part of the engineering. The county highway, county drainage board will have a part in that when that time comes. Again, if they get the primary plat that simply shows the crossing, they've got to come back with infrastructure plans that show all those details, get drainage board approval, and possibly county highway approval, depending upon the size of the crossing. The site utilities, again, are existing. There's actually a 16-inch water main, so a pretty significant water main crossing through the property. 8-inch gravity sewer serves the property currently. There's also a forced main that crosses through the property as well. Identified the standards for the R2 zoning of the property. All the lots meet all the requirements. Corner lots are increased in size because when you have a corner lot, you in essence have 2 front yard setback areas. So corner lots need to inherently be a little bit larger. They've met those requirements. Again, for stormwater control, they will have to get drainage board approval because the Walter Smith regulated drain does cross adjacent to the property. I already mentioned the collection of the stormwater, and then formal action of the drainage board will occur as part of the infrastructure plans. So with that, staff has looked at the primary plat. All the UDO development standards are met, which includes lot size, lot width, lot frontage, the pedestrian connectivity requirements, and all the street standards. So staff does recommend approval of the primary plat. We recommend 5 conditions. Actually, the first condition has been met. The routing comment, the last routing comment we had on the width of Virginia Lane was addressed. So the plan that is in your packet shows the 34-foot width. So all the routing comments have been taken care of. The other conditions, again, the floodplain development permit has to be obtained. The stormwater plan approved by the drainage board. They're required to establish easements for the ponds, which will be off-site easements, but also they'll have to work with the ownership group for the golf course to get basically drainage easements over those ponds. And then there's also going to be required to have then a maintenance agreement, a stormwater management plan maintenance agreement done as part of secondary plat. And then, of course, the infrastructure plan for the roadway and the bridge crossing or the stream crossing. And they are going to have to do, of course, the water and the sewer are currently along the path of Virginia Lane. They'll have to be extended, for the cul-de-sac streets and those lots. So all those plans will still have to be submitted and approved. So with that, I do have the proposed findings of fact for staff recommendations, and that concludes staff report.
Well, thank you. Is there any questions from the commission for staff?
Jim, on page 8 of your report, item number 3, it says all roads proposed in construction of 32 feet back of curb to back of curb width. So you're telling us that changed to 34 foot?
It is the 34 foot is what they have agreed to do on Virginia Lane. So the minimum standard is 32 foot. But again, with the road, the current road being wider to the north and south, it only makes logical sense to continue that same width. They have agreed to do that, and the primary plat reflects that.
The plat does reflect that. Okay.
Yes.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody like to speak on behalf of the petitioner? Please come forward, state your name, address.
Good evening. My name is Bob Gaffer. I work at MLS Engineering at 10060 Bent Creek Boulevard, Fort Wayne, Indiana. I am the engineer of record for this plat, and then will be, unless something else changes in my office, for the secondary infrastructure plans. Jim did a really good job covering all the aspects. Some of the easements aren't, the 1999 plat didn't quite line up, so there'll be work on vacating easements and putting new easements in for where the sanitary and water need to follow the road to the cul-de-sac. Worked quite extensively with the engineering and planning departments on this layout. I think for the bridge right now, and none of these are finalized design plans, but it is our intent to maybe put the sidewalks, and it's shown on the plat, closer to the road, just so the bridge isn't as wide, meaning the pipes underneath won't have to be quite as long. What was the other one? The northeast pond, one of the reasons for expansion, or the bigger one, is for the mitigation of volume of what we fill in the flood way fringe. We also take out, so we'll be cutting in that pond, so they have larger pond areas, so use out of it. Storm on the other side. I think that was just about it on there. We'll work with any existing easements that have on and ensure that all utilities are in the right-of-way easements of the, or within the right-of-way or an easement for the lots. The big caveat on this, so to speak, is going to be that finalize of the bridge across the legal drain there. So we'll get with, and engineering and I have talked extensively on where we're going to start, but we'll get with planning department, surveyor's office as well.
So as Jim had mentioned, it seemed like a few of the residents were concerned about the irrigation. Can you speak to that a little bit to maybe ease concerns?
If that's irrigation for the golf course, I don't know.
For the residential, the subdivision?
They use it
pulled
on the
that
subdivision to pull out of there into that pond. I don't know too much about how they're doing that. As far as irrigation, I don't have any. I can ask owner, which would be the Fuller Development Company, on that, how much they're doing and where they are. I know there's some,
I guess it's not part of your development, so.
right,
yeah.
ponds on the north side where they do that too. I don't know where they're pulling this off. I do know that there is an easement along this east curb line of the plat for the Timber Trace subdivision that runs stormwater up to that northeast pond, but we will not be using that northeast pond for detention. It is right now used for detention at Timber Trace, and that easement is in place. We'll be using the pond on the west, and both of them together are for site balances to what we can lift our roads out. I do know that it's been asked or considered, hasn't been final design, that the intersection of Putter Cove, and Virginia Lane, considering putting a four-way stop on there as traffic control, so people aren't, it was considered, it hasn't been decided, just a question somebody raised. I know Virginia Lane wouldn't necessarily need one, but it was, the developer actually asked if we wanted to do that, or if you wanted to do that, it wouldn't be a problem, but just long way in between stop signs, I guess.
Any further questions? Thank you. We may call you back if there's some other
Thank you very
questions.
much.
Okay, I'm going to open this up to the public. You're more than welcome to come up. When you do, ask your question, direct your comments and questions to the commission. We'll forward it on to either staff or to the developer and hopefully get your questions answered. When you approach the microphone, please state your name and address and then proceed with your comments/questions. Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Cindy Parrott, 2112 Bunker Court. I'm the president of the Coves Association, so I'm here with a list of questions that the homeowners had for you all tonight. There was a question concerning, do you have a target date as to when construction would start and when it might end?
I'm writing him down. Can you go ahead and, I mean, I can't answer that, but I'll direct it. But
Okay.
If you've got more.
I have a list.
Okay.
And if there's an idea of the type of homes that I know they're single family, but if they're more homes like timber trace or in one of the other home, because I'm not sure what the difference between R1 and R2 is that was described tonight. And then I know it's the golf course and it's not this group that's going to be addressing our pond that we use for irrigation. But when they make that larger, I'm just curious if they will also be dredging that, if that's included with making it larger. We wondered if there was any anticipation of the amount of increase in traffic that would occur. And so it was interesting to hear that there was a proposal of possibility having a stop sign over on the other side. So I don't know that we already have a stop sign there at Morningstar. So, and it sounded like from the picture that the only road then, or the only road to get in and out of there will be Virginia. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. And I think those are all our questions.
Okay. Well, I'm going to direct the questions right now, and if there's something I missed, please let me know.
Okay.
And I'll try to direct it to the right person.
All right, thank you.
Target date, I just know it's always hard with getting permitting and everything and how long it goes through drainage and anything. But do you have kind of a target date that would be for, I guess, the developer? I mean, it all depends on how fast things go through. But do you want to come up and speak to that? That's why, so we can share the microphone. That's why I have you.
For target date, I'm picking up the design plans where I left off tomorrow morning. So submitting them in the next probably 6 to 8 weeks to be done with construction. And these are tentative, kind of get those done in that time, but start breaking ground mid to end of summer, and then however long it takes to put in 3 roads. Virginia Lane's approximately 1,000 feet long. So, and then probably utilities late this fall and then into the winter type of, so maybe end of the year, beginning of next year, selling lots. Right now is the schedule.
Okay. The second question was type of home, and that could be either for staff because of the requirements we have within our UDO, or also a little bit with you, but can you either staff or?
I know it was
Answer
talked
that.
about once that these won't be sold to a, just for lack of a DR Horton, but more of an individual home builder. I don't know if that's still the case. I know it was talked about once. I don't know if that's the way you're sticking, but they may do both of those. So
Yeah, and that's my understanding as well. The minimum requirements for homes in size in R2 is less than the R1. So that's one standard. But based upon the lot sizes, I was under the understanding the homes would be comparable to what's being constructed in Bridgewater North. So they won't be villas. They won't be villas.
They'll be
like
single
the
family.
Cove. They will be each lot independently built and sold. But I compare it to Bridgewater North lots.
Okay. Next question was the irrigation. I know you kind of spoke on that, but Jim, I don't know if you've talked with Mr. Fuller or not. We had a conversation because I had somebody contact me first and I directed them to you. Do you have more information on irrigation?
Just, I have had contact directly with the developer, who is also, again, one of the owners with the golf course. And so to this point of time, it's been more of a gentleman's agreement that the coves could utilize the ponds for irrigation. It's certainly set up that way. It's been done that way. And there's no intent on the developer's end to change that at all. Again, like I said, they're even making the pond bigger, so they're not decreasing the amount of water that would be available. They're increasing it. And there will be now an easement over the pond itself. That's just because of drainage purposes. But I think it's recommended that the HOA ownerships within the cove get with the developer to maybe have a more formal agreement for use of that pond with the golf course ownership group. That would be a recommendation, just so there's no question in the future. And they have the right to use that beyond just a handshake agreement, if you would.
Gotcha. And you said it was going to be enlarged, right? Correct?
Correct.
Would that probably entail some extra dredging of the existing area as well?
I have not heard that talked about. I can
Okay.
take that back to the developer. I do know that we talked about anything we dig new to meet depth requirements for aquatic purposes and life in there, but I can't tell you what was built in 1999. I was in the Persian Gulf then, so
I got you.
my apologies.
Well, thank you for that too. So, and the last question I believe was on traffic and discussion. She worried about Virginia Lane and more traffic. It will exit to the south and to the north. My envisioning, if you're going into Auburn, it would be more going to the south and not go through the coves, but you're still going to have some going through the coves coming to the north. But the four-way stop, I don't know where the discussion went on that. If there was any at the last meeting last Thursday on the 9th, discussion on that at the.
There wasn't directly, but I do know it was a comment from the routing committee that was discussed. It wasn't placed as a requirement or anything. I think it would be looked at. The Board of Works, of course, would have to approve. I believe it's Board of Works. Am I correct with that? They would have to approve a stop sign location. But I know it's been discussed. That's all.
Gotcha. And with the curve that's kind of there, it'll slow down the traffic anyway. So I don't know if that'll be that big a deal. So, and I think that takes care of your 4 questions. So thank you very much. We may call you back up. Anybody else from the community that would like to ask a question or have a comment? Again, please state your name and address.
My name's Ron Manor, and I'm 2110 Bunker Court. Question I have is, will this new section be under the management of the Bridgewater Association? We have covenants. We are, as various organizations, are sections in Bridgewater, and we are under overall umbrella of Bridgewater, which is managed by the Newcomb Group, which I understand now is going to be the Westwood 360 Group. And they are the ones who say these are how the properties need to be managed and cared for and so forth. And my question is, will this be the case here?
Again, that's something we can try to answer. That's really outside the privy of what we're trying to do here, but that would be a question for the developer if they know off the top of your head. But then again, you would need to contact Mr. Fuller.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I do appreciate the comment you raised about the pond. It's very important for our organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And one other question. The bridge. Will the bridge be such that construction vehicles can move across it? Or will that all come from Elaine up from the backside?
Well, it's going to meet whatever standard the county drainage and everything and engineering state. So
Are you saying during construction or after everything's finalized?
No, during construction, will big trucks with bricks and concrete
Depends on
trunk?
when the bridge is installed during the construction phase. That may be one of the first things they do, so they can come in from the north,
Mhm.
which would be the most convenient. Obviously, it's most accessible coming in off Morningstar Road. That's to be determined, and the size and type of the bridge is yet to be determined. That'll be with infrastructure, which is the next phase of,
Okay.
of the development.
All right. Mhm.
So that's a good question, Bob. I don't know if you can address when the bridge will be constructed. Will it be first or last or sometime in between?
Can I ask one more?
Sure.
And has a study been done of what traffic flow might be as it relates to Morningstar Road?
No, no traffic study. I mean, those are not cheap to run. You can do informal ones. If you hire one out, that's a lot of money. But the city's not going to put forth.
I mean, we do appreciate the police department of Auburn patrolling it. I mean, we have people who will pass you on Morningstar Road when the speed limit's 30 miles an hour.
Were you going to
Thank
say something?
Just that, yeah, I mean, for 43 lot infill development, we don't require a specific traffic study. But certainly, again, from one of the comments at the routing committee meeting from police was the potential for trying to control speed. It is a long distance not having to stop on Virginia Lane. And so, it may be a point where we could create a stop, after the subdivision gets started.
Gotcha. You answer that, come up for it and answer that other question on the timing of the bridge.
The timing of the bridge is going to be 100% dependent upon what type of bridge, and is it going to take, after we get permits and start building, is it going to take 6 weeks to get the bridge there? Is this a part that's going to take 6 months lead time? Kind of where that goes in is right at this point in the design phase that we really haven't started. I can't give an accurate answer on that just because of its materials. If it's going to be a concrete box, if it's going to be 2 8-foot culverts, we don't know that answer yet. And so one, do they have it sitting in the yard? It'll only take a few weeks to deliver it, or the other one, do they have to make it? It's going to take 8 weeks. There's just no way to accurately answer that right now.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the public like to come and speak or have any questions? Anyone else? Good evening.
Hi, I'm Deb Smith. I live at 1915 Virginia Lane. Not to belabor the irrigation issue, but from the existing pond, we are 16 homes and we do our irrigation from that pond. So if we're adding 43 more homes, where will their irrigation come from? The existing pond or the new pond going in? Make sense?
Yeah. I was unaware any homes were drawing from that other than the cove, but farther south I wasn't aware. But
Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe because the cove is maintenance provided community is why you have the irrigation systems for all the properties there. Typically where each lot is owned independently, there's not a central irrigation coming off of a pond. Now, you don't see that often, but when it's a maintenance provided community, that's when they draw from a source to do all the yards. I believe that's what happens up there.
and then again, they are part of Bridgewater, which is also part of that pond end. And then this may or may not be, depending on what answer they get from Mr. Fuller, as if it's connected and has to follow the same covenant or whatever. So,
And just to comment on that, this is Bridgewater Section 7.
okay.
The intent that I was
That's right.
advised to me is that, yes, it will fall under the overall umbrella of Bridgewater. It'll probably have its own covenants, separate from the
Right.
cove and the others, but it still falls under the umbrella of Bridgewater.
Any other questions from the public? Any following questions? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Turn it over to discussion from the commission. Are there any further comments or questions? I think staff did a great job again of covering everything, and the petitioner did a good job of trying to explain everything. And seeing no further questions or comments, let's take a look at the findings of facts because we do need to approve those first. So there are 5 of them. They're basically our standard ones for primary plat. I need to have a motion to approve unless somebody feels like one of them may not be thought of as in the affirmative, we can do them individually. But if nobody feels like we're going to do any of them in the negative, we can go ahead and do all 5 at once.
Move to approve the findings of fact for PC primary 2026-001, all in the affirmative.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion on that? Nobody feels like we need to break any up? Okay, all in favor of passing the findings of facts for PC primary plat 2026-1 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried for the findings of facts. Now we need the approval or the motion on the ordinance or the primary plat. One thing I do want to ask before we do anything, because there are listed 5 conditions, and you mentioned number 1 has already been met. So if we leave it in there, it's already been met. It's okay to leave it in, but would it be better to remove it and renumber the other ones 1 through 4, or do you just want to leave it?
That keeps it clean if you just eliminate it and just approve conditions 2 through 5. It just makes it clean. They have addressed number 1 already, so.
All right, so entertaining a motion to remove number 1 and renumbering 2 through 5 as 1 through 4 would be appropriate, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make that motion. I make a motion that underneath the staff recommendations, we remove number 1 and then renumber 2 through 5 as 1 through 4.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Now we have 4 conditions and we need a motion to approve or reject this plan with the 4 conditions.
Move to approve PC primary plat 2026-01 with the amended 1 through 4 conditions.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any final discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much and good luck. On to new business item number 2, the Downtown Auburn Revitalization Plan. This is PC Other 2026-1. I will go ahead and open the public hearing and turn it over to the staff for the report.
Some good work in this one.
Thank you, sir. The City of Auburn, who worked collaboratively with Auburn Main Street Board of Directors, we engaged HWC Engineering to assist in the creation of what's called the 2026 Downtown Auburn Revitalization Plan. This is an update of the 2018 downtown plan. It is a requirement for the city to participate in certain grant programs offered through the state to have a up-to-date downtown revitalization plan. And so this plan was done to meet that requirement. There was a steering committee that was established to work on the plan, to work with the consultant. There were local officials, downtown business representatives, city staff, community partners helped guide the plan through the process. The boundary lines for the downtown revitalization area have not changed from the 2018 plan, and it's shown on the map. Basically extends from 4th Street on the north down to 12th Street, and then from Cedar Creek over to West Van Buren. The project really started in May of 2025. Again, there were a number of committee meetings, a number of public discussion. There were individual meetings with community leaders as far as trying to engage and vision the downtown plan. They had public surveys were conducted and several public engagement opportunities on the project were held. And then there was a final presentation in February on the plan which allowed for final public comments, and it evolved into the plan that was included in your documents that were shared with you. The overall vision statement for the downtown area is short, but it's downtown Auburn is the destination in Northeast Indiana. The plan establishes 4 themes, which also has individual goals for each theme. The 4 themes: dynamic development, thriving businesses, memorable visitor experience, and vibrant and welcoming spaces. And those are all, again, working around the core vision for the downtown area. An important component of the plan is the implementation matrix, which is the very end of the document. It basically provides, it identifies those themes I mentioned, and then it identifies action steps, and then implementation partners to help execute those action steps or to complete those action items. So it provides the actual bones of the plan and shows the specific things that need to occur to fulfill the plan. So the overall downtown revitalization plan is a document that gets recommended by the Planning Commission. Ultimately, adoption is up to the Common Council. They do it by resolution. As they have approved, the 2040 plan and the downtown plan or the park plan. It's another document that works with the 2040 plan to better the city of Auburn. So staff does recommend the commission for this plan with a favorable recommendation to the Common Council for adoption.
Thank you very much. Any questions for staff?
Jim, what does this document actually do?
It kind of sets the tone, if you would, for projects. So some of the things that happened, for example, out of the 2018 plan, the downtown facade program, some of the sidewalk, the revitalization that you've seen within the downtown area, that, the public sidewalks and improvements of those spaces. The 5th Street parking lot came out of this. Some of the redevelopments, so the Straw Building, the Credit Building, the Auburn Hotel development site, all things that talk about revitalization of the downtown. So if we had an area that needed revitalization, the plan basically guided what we were looking for as a downtown community. As we look forward, things that I see out of this plan, to continue, of course, the redevelopment, the 7th Street redevelopment, where we have all the vacant buildings, that needs to occur. The sidewalk project to continue on. A reuse for the old YMCA, an important component of the north part of the downtown area. Wayfinding. I know that was kind of a big topic during this process, was just trying to help people identify where things are at within the downtown area. The Veterans Memorial, all things that maybe not specifically pointed at in the plan, but certainly the plan supported it and encouraged that kind of development. So that's what we're hoping to get out of it.
And along with that, a lot of grants that people apply for, this has to be like the backbone that then justifies awarding the grant. So this type of downtown improvement where grants go toward that, this needs to be in place to get that award granted to us. So yes, that's all of that, but the backbone is getting money, the grant money, to do these things.
Okay.
Any further questions? Okay, it was a very long document. It was good. I went to one of the public things here where we were putting little dots on the board where we thought we needed to make improvements and things. So I thought it was very well done and intended. And I want to thank Auburn Main Street and the city of Auburn for going through this process, because it does help. So we need a recommendation, favorable recommendation, to go to the Common Council for PC Other 2026-1.
I'll make a motion to send favorable recommendation to the Common Council for the 2026 Downtown Auburn Revitalization Plan.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you again. On to reports. Address report. I don't believe we have one. Anything from the board members? County liaison, city county liaison?
Our last meeting, we just had one agenda item, and that was to suggest a moratorium to the commissioners on any data centers coming to the county until we can write an ordinance.
Gotcha.
For it. So is that a favorable recommendation for that?
Okay. Project advisory committee, anything? No, nope. City staff?
We will have a meeting
Okay, we will have a meeting. Anything from the attorney? Okay, awesome. Good to know. Anything from the public? They seem to have disappeared. Okay, we're good there. Next meeting will be May the what? 12th, there it is. May the 12th. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.